1. India's colonial era monsoon forecasting to get high-tech makeover. GS Paper 1, Geophysical Phenomena. Why is it in news recently? India's forecasting of the monsoon is getting a high-tech makeover. Jettisoning a statistical method introduced under British colonial rule in the 1920s to forecast weather towards accurate forecasting. India's Meteorology Office is spending $60 million on a new supercomputer to improve the accuracy of one of the world's most vital weather forecasts in time for next year's rains. The new system, based on a US model tweaked for India, requires immense computing power to generate three-dimensional models to help predict how the monsoon is likely to develop. Need for accurate forecast. India monsoon still remains a very complex weather system which only God has the ability to understand fully. The Weather Office failed to foresee the worst drought in nearly 4 decades in 2009 and, as this year's monsoon starts, farmers hope its forecast of above-average rains will be right. Experts say better forecasting could help India raise its farm output by nearly 15%, by helping farmers tweak the best time to sow, irrigate or apply fertilizer to crops, and if rains fail, plan statewide measures. This would be a major boon for a country. What does the IMD base its forecasts on? The predictors that IMD uses for the April forecast are: temperature difference between surface temperatures in the North Pacific and North Atlantic Oceans, surface temperature of the Indian Ocean near the equator, mean sea level pressure in the Pacific Ocean near East Asia, land temperatures over Northwest Europe, and the volume of warm water in the equatorial Pacific Ocean. The IMD uses statistical models to analyze these data and arrive at its forecast. Statistical models try to match prevailing conditions with historical records to see how the monsoon had behaved in years when similar conditions had prevailed. How does IMD's new dynamic model predicts forecast? The IMD has also been experimenting with a dynamical model. The new system, based on a US model tweaked for India, requires immense computing power to generate three-dimensional models to help predict how the monsoon is likely to develop. This model makes continuous observation of some selected physical phenomena, and notes how the conditions for monsoon behave over a period of time. It then follows those changes to extrapolate for the future, and comes up with a forecast. 2. PM Modi President Obama discussion a clear signal to China, no country should dominate Asia-Pacific. GS Paper 2, Bilateral, Regional and Global Groupings and Agreements Involving India and Affecting India's Interests. What is the context is about? The United States and India sent out a clear signal to China that no one country should dominate the Asia-Pacific region. It is a clear indication that Beijing will have to live with the presence of the United States, India, and their allies and friends in the South China Sea and Indian Ocean region. The Obama-Modi meeting came against the backdrop of rising tensions in the South China Sea. India's growing economic heft, military outlook, and demographic advantages were something both Obama and Modi emphasized in their exchanges. Rise of China beyond immediate neighborhood and in the West Pacific. China's rise is altering the balance of power globally and regionally. China's peaceful rise and development has been seriously dented due to rising tensions in South China Sea and in East China Sea. The new leadership is nationalistic and sharply focused on China's core interests. The rising tide of nationalism in China, its rapid military modernization and projection of its power beyond immediate neighborhood and in the West Pacific, has raised apprehensions among its neighbors. China is following anti-access anti-denial (A2D) strategy to deter the US from entering the island chain in the area of Chinese influence. What should be India's long-term strategy in Asia-Pacific? With a shift of center of gravity to the Asia-Pacific region, India must seek a role in the shaping of political, economic, social and security process in the region. Not doing so could adversely affect India's interests. India's strategy should be to seek deeper engagement and economic integration with the Asia-Pacific region. India should be particularly engaged in the security dialogues and processes in the region. India enjoys high credibility in ASEAN and East Asia. India and ASEAN have raised their partnership to strategic level. The challenge is to deepen it further. The way forward. People-to-people connectivity needs to be improved. But this will require liberations of the visa regime between India and ASEAN countries. India needs to pay special attention to Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia and Singapore on bilateral level. These countries can help India in raising Indian regional profile. Additionally, India needs to focus on Indian Ocean issues and those of ocean governance. India needs to take active role in the shaping of the agenda of IORAIC. In recent times the Australians and the Japanese have talked about the concept of Indo-Pacific.